Atomic Robo-kid is my retro gaming arch nemesis. It came out on several platforms, and it sucks. But which version sucks the least?
Jammin'.
My first experience with Atomic Robo-kid was the Sega Genesis port. It was published in 1990 by Trico, an obscure defunct American company with a breathtaking repertoire of 7 lackluster titles. My grandma bought it for me at a flea market about 6 years ago, and I only had about 10 games for the system back then, so I was pumped to get it. That excitement didn't last though, as I hated the game so much that I decided to make a video talking about how bad it was.
And the hard thing about this game, this is the bad thing about the game, it's extremely frustrating because of the difficulty in this game.
If you lowered a pitch enough, it almost sounds like me now. Later, once I formed a new YouTube channel, we made fun of the game again.
And today we're doing some game called Atomic Robo-kid, is that what it is?
Yeah, this game sucks.
Oh.
You may have noticed our quality control was rather lacking.
Can't you just stop recording? Nah, never mind.
I think I might be a little bit better at editing now. I had such a hard time with this game back then that I never passed level 2, so what makes it so difficult? One of the first problems you'll notice in Atomic Robo-kid is the size of your character. Now I realize that big sprites were in style at the time, but you take up more than 1/4 of the vertical area. This combined with Atomic Robo-kid's leisurely pace makes dodging projectiles very unlikely. There is a speed power-up, but once you get it you nearly move too fast. If there's more than one enemy bullet on screen, and there often are, you have to backtrack to get enough room to squeeze around them. The trouble with that is that in most cases the enemies respawn when you go back. These enemies are often placed in such a way that you get trapped and die. If you still don't think that sounds hard, then listen to this. While you can touch most enemies with no ill effect, all bullets are one-hit kills. So to review, you're too big, you're too slow, bullets are too big, there's too many bullets to dodge, enemies respawn, enemies are awkwardly placed, and you die in one hit. Fun game, huh? Then, to top off each level, you have these stupid little bosses. The best strategy to beat them is actually just to fly past them to the exit. On top of these problems, you are also faced with another issue. When you die, you lose whatever weapon you were using aside from standard shot. Now this wouldn't be too unusual if it weren't for the fact that one of the stages is, as far as I'm concerned, nearly impossible without the 3-way shot. If you die in this stage, you might as well just reset the game. There's no weapons to pick up here, there's nothing more you can do, and the only way to win is just to stop playing. And stop playing I did. Atomic Robo-kid languished on my shelf for years, unplayed and unloved. I never thought of the game again until I was required to do a negative persuasive speech in English my senior year. What better speech than a game review? What better game to review than Atomic Robo-kid? This is what I found out about the arcade title. I had never known Atomic Robo-kid was a port. I always thought it was made by Trico, but in reality, it started life in 1988 as a UPL arcade game. So, is that any better? In short, no. There are some places where it's superior though. You have a tad more room, and the graphics are much better. The game actually has a pretty cool art style that didn't quite translate on the Genesis. Other than that, not many improvements. Oh, and the music is still ear-piercing. I also want to bring up Stage 2. It's awful, especially the Genesis version, which I'm showing here. There are these turrets everywhere that litter the screen with bullets, and the corridors you fly down are tiny, and the turrets are placed in a way that I'd consider cheap and unfair. This little section right here should take about 10 seconds, but it took me more than 10 minutes to pass. Look at it. Does this even look fun? So that's it, right? No! This game was also ported to the Sharp X68000 home computer, but those are next to impossible to find in the US. From what I can tell, it's actually a very faithful port, and by that, I mean it's bad. Continuing with the theme of obscure Japanese hardware, we have the 1990 UPL PC Engine release, Atomic Robo-kid Special, and let me tell you, that special there on the end is warranted, because this version is actually almost decent. Hey, look at that! A life bar! This alone makes the game far more tolerable. There's also the fact that there's new, more open stages alongside the old cramped ones. It's almost like they realized the game wasn't good before. The music, too, is much improved. The screechy sound of the arcade and Genesis version is gone, though I must admit I'm a bit biased towards the PC Engine sound chip. Unfortunately, the PC Engine version brings an all-new drawback to the game. You have to be too far to the right to scroll, just slightly. It's not a game breaker, no, but I still thought I should bring it up. While we're here, let's also bring up the little duel segments. They're kind of pointless. The enemies die in 1 or 2 hits, depending on the version of the game, so the only real challenge is that they shoot constantly and there's a wall of moving enemies between you. It's a little like Yar's Revenge, except it's not fun. Which version is best? Well, they all have their flaws, but it has to be the PC Engine version, easily. It fixes several glaring issues in the other ports to rise to the top. Now, the game did come out on several other home computers back in the day, but there really isn't much to talk about with those ports, and I don't have the computers to play them. So if you must buy a version of Atomic Robo-kid, just go with the PC Engine version. Personally though, I just recommend finding a better game. Hey everyone, thanks for watching Sam's Gamer, and I hope you have a very happy holidays, or Merry Christmas, or Happy Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, whatever you choose to celebrate. Thanks!